Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Call with your host, Kerry Ramage, managing broker at Remax Elite, and Heather Holiday, your social marketing nut, talking about hottest real estate topics with a little weekly activity and motivation for the week. Morning.
Oh my gosh, happy Monday morning. There's no school for public schools in Brevard County today, which means...
It's not a holiday, right?
No, I think it's a teacher work day or something, which just means it throws my day off because I didn't have, I was like, oh, I can sleep in a little bit this morning. And here I am feeling a little crazy. Right, I know. Like, what was I thinking? No, I can't sleep in. Which is funny. So as I was getting ready and in my typical panic mode of, oh my gosh, I have to get out the door, I was like, oh, I wish I was Heather, where she has her she shed and she can just walk out back. I have to get in the car and drive to the office, which, now this is funny. We moved into the office we're in right now in 2011. And I moved into my house. It was the exact same week. So it was a complete craziness because my office was packed up and my house was packed up. So getting work done during that time. So that was 2011. I've never timed how long it takes me to get to the office. Today was the first day. So
what?
I got
in years.
I got in the car at 9:19 and I was in the parking lot getting out of my car at 9:23. I never realized it was only 4 minutes. But
that's without school. So is there a difference when school is in session?
If school is in session, I don't go past the school. I take the other route, or I leave before school starts or after school starts.
Yeah, I remember when I would drive, it was like I had to get in between the different school times.
Yeah,
to be able it's like I had a 15-minute window to like leave my house, or it would take me 20 minutes longer just between the bus stops.
Yeah. So I was excited. I was excited that that's all it took. I had no idea. And I even had time to get out of my car, chat with Andy Barkley, who was out there putting air in his tire with some sort of remote air blow up tire thing. I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I have a slow leak in my tire. And I said, oh. And I said, I guess getting the tire fixed is not on the agenda for today. And he was like, yeah, it's not. So
you need that like green slime stuff, I think is what we use.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So like stop whatever it is.
So it was, it's been a funny morning already. How are you and how was your weekend?
I kind of worked all weekend because we're going camping this weekend. We have all of our Florida people. It's the annual trip.
Oh,
so fun. I'm kind of using this because it's like a week after Leo's birthday. And I was thinking, gosh, like last year, he got a quarantine t-shirt and a roll of toilet paper for his big 50th.
For his 50th? Was he 50 last year?
50 last year. And I mean, I guess I got off easy because there was nothing. I think everything was kind of closed at that point, and we had no idea what was going to happen. So this year, I'm just using this as his birthday, and I didn't have to do anything. So we have I don't know. I want to say there's like 15, 20 people coming up from Florida, all the sheriffs, whatever.
Oh, fun!
But it's just something the boys would always do every year, but they have wives, so I'm gonna. Okay, I'll go for a couple days, and we'll see.
They have wives.
I don't like to go when it's just the boys,
Oh, yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
If the wives go, I'll show up. Otherwise, just let them. I mean, especially after last week and him almost rolling over and damaging. Oh my gosh, craziness! I don't need all that. I like the pretty rides,
Right.
So that'll be fun. So I'll do a couple days, and we're gonna see how good whatever this Wi-Fi booster thing he got for the glamper, how well that actually
that works, right?
Yes. It shows even in the metal building, like it's like way better than our house, but we'll see.
That's funny because I think I think, we've talked, well, I watched a video, I think it must have been on Friday or Saturday, I can't remember, from one of my favorite coaches, Richard Robbins. And it was like a 9-minute video, and it was really talking about unplugging and taking care of yourself. And we talk about that a lot. So, I mean, I know it's always nice to go camping and not be plugged in, but it's also nice to have the backup of some good internet. So if you need to do something, you can.
Right. So like, in the morning, or I need to be able to have, access to my laptop. I mean, during the day when we're in the middle of mountains, only what the very peaks, I might get, it's nice because it's not an option. I mean, it's just not available when you're in the middle of the woods, but it is nice that I can still, be somewhat connected after hours. And so we'll see. Because I mean, otherwise it's just kind of like weekends. So we'll see how that ends up working out. Yeah. But
keep us posted on that, because I'm curious, because I always like to make sure if I'm somewhere where I don't have. I remember one summer I did Boy Scout camp many summers, but this one particular, I believe I can't remember if we were in Georgia or North Carolina. Georgia, I think. And my friend Sarah and I hiked to the top of the mountain, and I was like, oh, internet. And we literally sat up there for an hour so I could respond to emails and texts and phone calls and stuff. So always,
because when you go out of town, that's when everything happens.
When it explodes.
As much as you try to plan anything, I mean, we always tell an agent, if they say they're slow, book a vacation. Because
exactly. And it's funny because when we were getting
used to bury the Joseph or whatever, when it was same thing. Just book an actual vacation. That's when everybody needs you, always.
Well, that's funny because when we were getting ready to go to R4, the morning that we were all heading over, I got a text from Steve Vitani. I'm not getting there when I planned because I'm going out of town, and you know what happens, his phone started going crazy. So, which kind of brings us into the topic of today, which is 3 lessons for having longevity in real estate. I mean, if you're going to make real estate your career, you've been doing this since you were what, 19? How old? 20? In the real estate business, a long time you've been in the real estate business. I've been in the real estate business since I was 33, I think. And now I'm much older than 33. And so
since typewriters and doing BPOs on an MLS book.
Yeah, right. So
but we finally had internet, but it was done with a toggle switch for the fax. Because that's how you had to get contracts, through the fax. And then people would call, your fax line is busy. And it's like, oh, got to get off the internet, back to free cell.
Yeah. So, So you have made a career, and you've been in the business in real estate for a very long time. So you've had longevity. You're not where you are today, where you started all those years ago, because you've carved out a career for yourself that you enjoy and made sense. And for those of us that sell, hopefully you're doing it because you love it. But even loving it isn't enough. You need to work hard and all that stuff, but you want to bring longevity to your career. You want, if this is what you're making as a career, you want to be doing it for a long time. So the first is act and prepare as a business owner. Make sure that's what you're treating it as. You're not treating it as, oh, I'll just take the business when it comes. You need to treat it as a business. And we've always said, whatever it is, if you work from home or if you work from the office, I've always been a work from the office person because I would get so distracted if I was at home. But, I come to the office for the most part at the same time every day. I leave the office at the same time every day. Sometimes I'll take a middle of the week day off only because I know the weekend is going to be busy. I think right now, because of the way the market is, I haven't even counted, but I'm probably on day 45 of working straight. I even yesterday, where I tried to have a Sunday fun day, I spent the first 4 hours of the morning working, so.
But that's, and then that's the way because I'm the same way, but I just make sure I just get up super early. So I'm done. I've got my 4 hours in. I've got what I need to get done. It is what it is. And especially in a market like we're in, where it's absolutely crazy, I just go to bed earlier and wake up earlier to make sure I can still get what I need to get done.
Exactly. Exactly. So run it like a business, be consistent. So, we've talked about in our business planning, having a set schedule. Granted, you vary from it, but try and have a set schedule. You want to put all the systems in place that you need to put in place to help you stay on track. Whether that's, automated email drips or, whatever. We always talk about having the cards here that we write, so if you write, if Tuesday is your day for writing cards, make sure you're doing that. The cards are in front of you. You've got the system in place. You know who you're writing cards to today. And you want to always make sure you're staying in front of your sphere, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing. So get your CRM organized.
And the goal is not just, like the generic emails. I mean, the ultimate goal is having actual real estate conversations, belly to belly if you can, or just making sure to have those conversations. So it's putting systems in place to make that actually happen, whether it's the note cards, the email, asking questions, same thing with social, just making sure you're constantly prospecting, because otherwise your business is like this, like, oh, I'm busy. And then you forget to do all this other stuff for your actual business.
Mm-hmm.
And then those close and now you start all over. And it's really staying top of mind and being consistent with what you're doing to run your actual business helps prevent this. And it's, that growth. And right now we're in this crazy market. It's hard to set aside that time. But just like what I was saying, like, set up your power hour where you're actually doing this. Spend an hour every morning working on your actual business. And we're always saying you're not in business by yourself. I mean, we're under this huge umbrella where you have your partners, whether it be preferred partners, other agents. I mean, you're just make sure to utilize what you can, but be consistent in your marketing and your prospecting, and don't make your business one of these. It is your actual business. And, brokerages may offer this, and this, but ultimately that's just like the cherry on the cake or on the ice cream. Don't rely on what others may feed you or give you. I mean, you need to work on your business to bring the clients and who you actually want to work with. I mean, it's just a constant, you just have to constantly be doing stuff for your actual business.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure. So, gosh, I lost my train of thought. I was watching another training the other day, and it was talking about, like what you always say, the belly to belly, making a Facebook post or a drip email, which are very important, is not the only thing. You need to make sure you're having the conversations. And especially when we've talked about this many times, especially during this time, when you have a great opportunity, just checking in. Hope you guys are doing well with all this staying home we've been doing. It's interesting just how many people have not still are not able to work in the full capacity that we've been able to work.
But it's all about, and I think that goes into the next one, is always be learning. There are so many new tools that we have grown from in 2020. And I know we kind of talked about this a lot. I think it was last week, just the new tools that we may have heard about in the past, but we never, like the video, the Zoom, the 3D Matterport, being able to do that via Zoom and have that conversation without having to be, right next to each other. There's so many different tools that we have. So you always have to be, real estate is awesome because it's always evolving constantly. So you can't just say, I know it all, because I mean, just technology and the marketing itself, it's constantly changing. Yep. It's constantly evolving. I mean, the new tools that come out there, it's all these bells and whistles, but it's finding the tools that you think you'll be able to use for your business to be able to help you grow. And then, try to master that. Don't try to do everything at once, but really just trying to, constantly be learning, whether we have this, whether you're doing coaching with, an actual, industry coach, or you have mastermind groups. I mean, there's always more thoughts together, and there's tons of great, even like Facebook groups, just to constantly be learning and educating yourself, taking designations. I know when we were shut down, it was almost like we had an agent challenge. I mean, our agents were just like earning their designation, learning so much. I mean, it was so awesome to see. Okay, well, we're shut down. What can we do? It's always be learning. It's just this industry is always changing.
Completely. And you can never, you're never going to know everything. You're just not. Even when it comes to, sometimes I'll be at a listing appointment or out with buyers and they'll ask me a question that I've never been asked before. And if I don't know the answer, I always just say, you know what? I've never had that question before. Let me look it up and I'll get back to you and get you the answer, but I think if you're not always learning, and some of our best agents here at our office, they are always going to seminars or sales training, especially because this business evolved and it is evolving, and we've certainly seen it this year. You need to stay out in front of it. And exactly what Donna's saying. It drives me crazy too when people are like, oh, I can teach that class, or I know more, but you might go and learn something and learn a different approach or have a different way of doing something. Or, we're having some issues these days with appraisals, maybe getting out there and talking to other agents and seeing how they've overcome those issues will help you. It'll educate you. It'll help you with a different approach for the next time you have that problem.
Even classes, like I think of the old sales power that we did, or even, so we have like the video boot camp that Michael and Jesse do. I've done that 3 times, and they're about to do a 4th one, like a full week with all these incredible speakers for free. I paid for it for 3 times happily.
Yeah.
Even though they're putting on like this whole video boot camp, I've done it 3 times. I'm excited for the 4th time, because every time I take that class, I'm at a different level. So maybe some of the stuff was way over my head and I needed these baby nuggets. And then I go to the 2nd time and, okay, well, I've kind of mastered the baby nuggets. Now I need the, the kind of intermediate and advanced. And, the last time it was all about the video cards and all this other stuff I can be doing on my YouTube channel. So every time, it may be the same class, but every single time I take it, I just take away completely different items of value and these nuggets that I can incorporate. So it's, yes, I've taken the same class 3 times, but I will definitely take it again because I'm at a different level in my business. And now this other stuff that was like, kind of like they were sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher. I had no idea what they were talking about with the terminology. Now I get it. I understand because through these baby steps, and now I'm onto a different level. Same thing with sales power. I'm doing that every quarter. Always taking away something else.
It's funny you say that, because that's exactly it. I could say, oh, I've heard Tom Ferry a million times, or I've heard Richard Robbins a million times, or I've heard Jared James a million times. But the 1,000,001th time, whatever that is, 1,000,001, the 1,000,001 time, I may hear something that I never heard before, or I heard it before and I didn't understand it because I was at a different level, But it's always seeking out the knowledge. And my coach used to say, always being curious as well. And that's not just within the business itself, that's with your clients and customers as well. Always be curious, always be asking questions. It's about them. It's not about you. So the more you ask them, the more you'll know what their end goal is or what their pain points are and how you can overcome them. I'm learning more and more. And the one thing that, I think sometimes we get into this rut where I've been doing this for 21 years. It's like I could do it in my sleep because I'm used to, my scripts and how I do it. But remember, the seller you're selling a house for may not, I'm putting a listing in today as a coming soon. The last time they bought a house was in 2009. It's been 12 years. And the market's changed and our procedures and processes have changed since then. So always being curious so that you can understand what they need to learn so that you can make the transaction as simple and easy as possible.
I think sometimes, especially those that have been in the business a long time, like you almost forget what it's like to be that buyer or seller. And it is nice when, you know, an agent actually goes and buys or sells a home, because it's almost like it puts that different perspective on it again, because it's something that you just do every day. You could do it in your sleep, but you need to still be able to kind of put it in layman's terms and just be able to explain it and experience. Sometimes we think too much like agents versus what the consumer is actually going through. I mean, it's a big deal. And right now, I think be more of a therapist more than ever on no matter which side you have. I mean, it's an absolute insane market. So, you know, maybe there's classes for being able to relate and to help with this process, because it's got to be so stressful for everyone involved.
Yeah, it really, I mean, you know, it's funny. We are in a market where it's definitely a seller's market and we're getting multiple offers, highest and best. But it's not just stressful on those buyers. It's not just stressful on those buyers. It's also stressful on the sellers. Are you making the right choice? Are you picking the buyer that got overly excited and bid high on the house, and then they're going to wake up tomorrow and have second thoughts, you know? So as you're keeping yourself educated, and not just with trainings, I think another thing is keeping yourself with other agents and having the conversations so you can bounce off each other to see, you know, how they're overcoming things. Or are you using a spreadsheet when you have multiple offers so you can show the seller? You know, there's just different ways, but it's extremely stressful on everyone. And so here's a question: is how's the market today versus last year?
Well, last year we were kind of closed.
Yeah, right. Last year, right now, we were starting to, I think, in Florida, or at least our part of Florida, open back up. But we have less inventory now. We still have people in our area coming into town that need homes. The thing that's different from last year, this year, I think, is we're getting a lot, and we always get second home purchases, but we're getting a lot more second home purchases in all price range. We're getting people buying condos for $150,000, and we're getting people buying homes on the ocean or the river for $2 million, because they want to get out of the city they live in and come here. You know, so that's adding to this frenzy.
And before the pandemic, we were super close to changing over almost to a buyer's market. Yeah. I mean, we were what, like 5.7 month inventory, which at that 6 month, that's when it kind of converts over. So we were super close to making that transition, but was like a super long time for it to be a seller. I mean, it's been a crazy, great market for so long. And usually it's what, like every 8 years, it kind of shifts. So we were right there about to hit that shift. And then this happened. And now you're not even at 1 month inventory. I just saw that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's insane.
I know. Crazy. And we're seeing cash, lots and lots and lots of cash buyers, more than the norm. I'll have to look at the stats for that, because it's way more than the norm. Hi, Janine. It's way more than the norm with the cash buyers, at least in our area, you know, and it's like, where are all these cash people coming from? But I think they're coming because they're living in a state where they're not able to go out as freely as we are, you know, whether that's good or bad, you know, I can't say, but always be learning, and not just, like I said, learn from your friends, your other agents. We have a couple of people that are on, like Janine, who's one of our friends from Virginia, who, you know, you certainly more than I bounce things back and forth with that RE/MAX office in Virginia. Always be learning, whether it's from your peer-to-peer, or maybe befriend an agent who's been in the business longer or selling more houses than you? Can that person help give you a different perspective? Or even someone who's new in the business? That always, we have a young gentleman, Mark Lindo, who when he calls me and asks me questions, there's always a new spin on it that I've not thought of before because he's new and he
fresh perspective, not doing it in their sleep, that curiosity. I love that.
Yeah. And then
go ahead.
Yeah. And then our next one is be passionate and have a social impact. One of the things that will ensure your longevity is giving back. And that's always been a mantra of ours here at Remax Elite, always giving back. We are very fortunate especially within the last year, to have still really good business going on for us. Certainly for us, I feel bad for a lot of my friends, our friends in Pennsylvania, our friends in South Florida, our friends in California, who were not able to work as freely as we've been able to. So we've been very fortunate, and take some of your good fortune and give back whatever you're passionate about.
I'm always saying, as far, being out in the community, finding a cause that you're passionate about to be able to give back to, but also for friends. And it's almost like finding like your tribe. And I know we've said this, a lot of times, but giving back is always such, I don't know, there's just something that just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. And it allows you to connect with people who have the same interest as you, or, something. I mean, I'm always, as long as I can remember, I've always been involved with a different cause. My causes will change, just, okay, time for something else, or I'm at a different point in my life. I mean, for the longest time, it was like with autism, ADHD, and, then, we always have the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, the dogs, animals, and that's always been one of my things. I mean, just find that speaks to you, become involved, whether you're volunteering, we have Habitat for Humanity, a lot of our agents, involved with that, just getting involved with your community.
Well, and it just and that helps also with the burnout, because it's putting your direction a little somewhere else other than just work in the business. It'll, whether you are working on a house for Habitat for Humanity, or you're volunteering at the animal shelter, or whatever you're doing, it's downtime from the work grind, so to speak, although most of us don't look at it as that, because I think most of us who are in the real estate industry love what we do and are very passionate about it, which is why we do it. But it definitely helps with the work-life balance. And it helps you to make more connections and new connections out there in the world. I don't know that that's the reason why you do it, but it just certainly doesn't hurt. So yeah.
No, absolutely. And then the social is just, I don't know. I mean, the social is not about just posting your listing. Social is about making those relationships, that social part. And just, community, I mean, doesn't have to mean, I'm not saying like social media or anything, but just finding ways to make those connections with people. Mm-hmm. And so I did have one other question for you. There's a lot of newer agents coming into the industry for, a lot of them may have been in like the hospitality industry or service or anything, and they're just coming into the real estate. And, I get a lot of these questions like, what should I be doing? And gosh, I mean, we don't really do a lot with the newer agents. So the only thing I could think of was, I remember the Tom Ferry memory jogger from the old Sales Power. So right. That's getting your sphere, yep. Making that database so that you can send announcements, do whatever you need to do. You can talk Facebook to get as much information, do the post.
It's funny to say that, because that's the first thing that came to my mind was working your sphere. So when I pretty much grew up here. We moved here when I was 12. I went to middle school here. I went to high school here. I lived here until I was 23, and then I moved away for about 10 years. When I came back and when I got back into real estate, the very first thing I did was send out announcement cards to everybody I knew, people I went to high school with, anybody who came to my wedding. My parents have 1 million friends, and I sent them postcards, and everybody I knew, and I'm not kidding. My friends, Bruce and Cindy Angel Howe, they got the card in their mailbox on Saturday morning, and within 20 minutes of opening it, she gave it to her brother who was looking for a house. And that was the very first house that I closed here in Brevard County, was Cindy's brother. And they were like, oh my God, we were just going to call the sign because it was 3 doors down from Cindy's house so we could see it. I didn't end up selling them that house. I sold them another house, but that, you have to shout from the rooftops, this is what I'm doing now. So that's the first thing, your sphere, and the memory jogger. What, like you said, who do I know?
Mine was, we had a lawn care company. So of course, all of our clients who knew me, because I would just kind of go hang out or whatever. And that's where I got my first listings, was basically everybody, the mower, the shop or whatever, the fixer, I don't know what the hell they call that, but they had listings. One of our clients, I got listings. So it was like immediately listings, and it's all from, I used the white pages. Do you remember that? Like the actual book?
Yes.
Like, cause I don't know that we have internet.
I just got one in my mailbox the other day, and I'm not kidding you. It was this thick.
Ours was this, because you use it to sit on for the kids.
It was like this size, and it was that.
Oh my gosh. No, so we didn't have internet when I got into real estate. So I literally sat at my desk through the phone book to get addresses and phone numbers. Like, there barely was email. As I remember, like the whole toggle switch. At AOL for my entire office, we had 7 agents, and I got AOL because, oh my gosh, I get 7 accounts. So I gave each of my agents, and it's like, what are you going to do with that? I don't know, but that's the new thing happening.
Right. That's awesome. One of our agents still has an AOL, and I was helping him set something up because he needed to do a Zoom meeting while traveling. And so I was making sure he had it all set up on his phone. And I'm like, okay, I need to log in. What's your email? And then I was like, oh, that's right. I said, I hope your kids make fun of you for having an AOL email address. And he goes, they do. I said, okay, just checking. The other thing though, back to your question, hit the ground running. So, throw yourself full force into real estate, whether it's going to the board and taking classes so that when you do write your first contract, you've already taken that contract class and you're ready to write it. Shout it from the rooftops that everybody knows that you're doing it. Don't dip your toes in and see if they get a little wet. Maybe I'll go further. You have to hit the ground running. That goes back to treating this like a business. You have to treat it like a business, not like a hobby. So if you go
all in. And I also tell them, take that post class while everything's fresh in your brain and get it over with.
Your brain, yeah. Especially when you're slow and not doing anything. Because when you're new, you're slow and you have to take that post. I don't remember how many hours it is, but it's a lot.
Like 65 hours. I'm like, don't wait till the last week like I did. And oh my gosh, I think I made it by like 3 questions in 3 minutes or some crazy. Because then you have to start all over. So that's nothing. But I was so stressful. I'm like, I should have done it as soon as
do it now while you're
active, when it's all fresh in your brain. Like, get that over with, because you're only going to get busier if you go all in.
And then the other thing I would say is surround yourself with other great agents. Make friends with the people who are doing the business. That way you can learn from them. I'm hearing
in the office, you hear different conversations, different situations. That's like when you were in the, the Bat Cave with the 5 agents. It's like you hear the different situations, you hear the results and the different things that they're doing. There was always so much you would learn being in the office.
And I think that's why I've always been an office person. When I started real estate in Connecticut, we had lived in the town that I started my license in for a year. And they were in this town, like you lived there, like you went to elementary school there, high school there, you got married there, your kids went to the same elementary. That's how this town was. So to bust into that, I went to the office every day and I sat in a room with other great agents so that I can learn from them. Same thing, like you said, we were in the Bat Cave. There was me and 4 other people that for about 10 years we shared an office. And we'd hear each other on the phone, or if we were having a problem, we would just turn around and go, what do you do about this? Or how do you handle that? Now there's tons of Facebook groups but they're from all over the country, which is great. But at the same time,
and crazy at the same time.
Because they're asking questions they're asking questions that are relative to how their contracts work and how their escrow works, which is completely different from here. But surround yourself, find the great agents do
masterminding with your office. If your office doesn't have one, set one up.
Yep.
Set one up with your office. If it's not something that's being done, be proactive in surrounding yourself to be able to brainstorm for different ideas. And then the other thing is just finding like different farm areas. And then every time there's a new listing, make sure you know what's going on, checking, all of the different houses for sale, go preview them, know the market. Then when you go for a listing, you'll be able to say, that the house down the street that had this, it sold for this, get to know the facts. So if you have 3 different farming areas, make sure you check that, not one agent has basically all the sales, because, it's kind of not worth doing that. But, find areas, locations that you're comfortable with, different price points, different locations. If there's doing garage sales, you better be there. If you have dogs, go walk in the dog, talk to the neighbors, like whatever it is, go do it. Be active, proactive, all in.
Like you said, go hit the ground running. Don't just dip your toes into the pool. Jump in the freezing cold lake.
Right. And it's just getting to know everything about the different areas and the local market. Go to the builders. Go find out what's going on. Educate. Be curious. Get as much knowledge as you can. So those were my. I don't know. I don't even know like what to say. It's been so long since we've worked. Like we don't really work with newer agents.
Right. But it is.
Like, but I get that question a lot now. So I'm like, So I'm good. I feel like I'm on target by saying those. I was like, okay.
So that's good. Work your sphere, hit the ground running, surround yourself with great agents, treat your business like a business, treat it like a business. We're not playing in real estate. We are helping people make some of the biggest financial decisions of their life. So you should be treating it as a business. So
what's our action plan this week?
So go through your business plan, see what classes you have taken, what certifications or designations. Here's another thing that I hear people say a lot. Nobody knows what those designations mean. Okay, it's not about putting a bunch of letters after your name. It's about getting knowledge. It's about gaining more knowledge. You may hear something that you've never heard before that'll help you change your business or elevate your business. So as you're getting designations, don't do it because you want some letters behind your name. Do it because you want to learn and you want to update and you want to keep your internal encyclopedia of information always up to date. Back in the old days when I was a kid, we all had the Encyclopedia Britannica that sat on the bookshelf. And then so we had them. Ours happened to be this burgundy red color. I remember it. And then my dad's records and stereo system, But think about it. Those encyclopedias weren't changing. We now live in a world where you can get on the internet and get up-to-date information, as can our clients and customers and the consumers out there. So you need to be a step ahead of the game and constantly educating yourself.
I also find getting designations helps agent-to-agent referrals. A lot of agents will want to refer to somebody who has certain designations. So yes, for education, but it also helps with that whole networking agent-to-agent.
I have 2 referrals this year, both from Women's Council of Realtors, actually. And one of the referring agents is not a woman. It's a man who's a member of Women's Council, and that's where they found me. And then they looked up what my designations were, or just to know that I'm educating. Then they saw I was with RE/MAX, so that was bonus. And Yeah, that is awesome, because it does help with the agent to agent referrals. There's many people who say, I'm only going to refer to another GRI. I'm only going to refer to another CRS. And no, the general public doesn't know. But I also say this about when your kids go to college. I mean, I hate to say this, or I don't hate to say this. I used to work for an attorney, and he said to me one time, we were talking about, where you go to school, whatever. He goes, not one time has anybody ever come in my office and asked me where I got my law degree from. They just want to know what my track record is and that I am, a pit bull, basically, nobody asks that. So you're not doing it because the regular consumer is going to go, are you a GRI? That's not going to happen. But it's, could you imagine? But it's going to help with, like you said, agent to agent referrals, keeping up with your education, keeping up with, again, then you might do masterminding with people in your GRI group or your CRS group.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I think like my daughter's had so many acronyms added next to her through counseling or whatever it is, and I'm like, oh, if you're a realtor, that'd be really good. You've got all these acronyms. Nobody knows what they are.
Nobody knows what it is. Yeah, but you're not doing it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And my words of wisdom are, opportunities don't happen, you create them. And that's basically the same thing. Dive in, like make it happen, do that hustle, do the grind. Don't just, maybe let's see what happens. Opportunities don't, you have to make these opportunities happen for yourself. And that's through all these other tools that, we've already work in your sphere, staying up to date on the market, education, all that fun stuff.
Well, that just made me think of something. We're also been in the business so long that sometimes I feel like sometimes when we do these Monday morning wake up calls, we're saying the same things and it seems so obvious to us, but sometimes you get in a rut and you forget the things you should be doing. And sometimes, or if you're new, these are the things you should be doing. It seems so obvious to us, but that just goes back to we've been doing it so long. We need to make sure we're educating the others. We're educating our buyers and our sellers about the process. I mean, even the way the loan process goes or the title process is so different from when we started. I'm getting texts this morning from the system that says, oh, blah, 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 your buyer is clear to close, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just got a text. I don't have to call anybody and ask, are we clear to close yet?
No, that's awesome. We've got some great stuff going on. We just finally got through our Q2 show list of what we're going to be doing. So we have some great stuff. So we did our weekly activity. And I guess till next week, wake up, kick ass, and repeat.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye, guys. Enjoy your day off, kind of. Well, at least kids' days off.
Right.